Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to the Women's Empower Network. I am so excited to be sharing Julie with you today, and we're going to get to know a little bit more about her and her story and journey and how she came to be doing what she's doing today. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you. So excited to be here with you.
Me too. Me too. So tell me maybe you need to go backwards instead of forwards. How did this unfold for you?
Yeah, so I really, right now, I'll just say for context, I'm a sales strategist. I work mostly with, service-based business owners, and a lot of these women are, a lot of them are women. I work with men too, but mostly women. And I'm speaking to women now, so we'll talk about that. But most of my clients are healers or in some way, working and serving from their gifts and have really big gifts to give to people. And how I ended up here was like going way back. Like I was raised in a very my mom's a life coach, and I was raised
Oh.
in a pretty holistic household. And just like my parents were kind of hippies, we did things differently than most people. And so I've always kind of looked at life different than a lot of a lot of the mainstream. And when I came out of high school, I went to a really small Buddhist college in Boulder, Colorado called Naropa University. And that really put me on my own track of like, I just wanted to help people. Like, I was like, I just want to help people. I got my degree in peace studies. And so I was trained as a mediator, and also the school I went to had a heavy emphasis in meditation and spiritual practices and things like that. And I really came out of there not really knowing what I wanted to do, but knowing that I was passionate about like holistic health. And so I was like, maybe I want to be an acupuncturist and I want to work with people and help them. And I had like some whim to go get actually experience working in the healthcare industry before like going and investing a lot of my time and energy and money into, a degree I may or may not use. And I actually ended up hired as a chiropractic assistant. And when I came into that position, I very quickly realized I was in a sales position. And I was like, oh no, well, I don't want to be in sales. Like, what happened? How did I end up here? I just want to work with people. And I ended up actually working with a sales coach. I worked with a sales coach for 6 years, and I sold chiropractic services. And then I ended up going and becoming a health coach, and I sold my own health coaching services. And then I ended up deciding I really love business. I love business strategy. And so ended up deciding to start my own business as a sales strategist and sales coach. And really the thing that I learned over that whole journey and I think it comes back to the first conversation I ever had with my sales coach. He was like, because I was like, people are going to think I'm slimy and gross. And like, I had just this like terrible connotation with sales. And like, so many of us do because we have so many negative sales experiences. And the first thing he said to me, he was like, Julie, just like forget everything you think you know about sales. All you're doing is helping people solve problems, and you're helping them solve problems that they actually want to solve. And I was like, oh, I love solving problems and I'm good at helping people. So like I can do that. And, I worked with this sales coach for a long time, and he became like he was like my adopted grandfather, basically. He had a really old school approach to sales. He was so lovely. And I really, it really helped me realize that like, as people who want to do good in the world and want to make an impact, we also have to make money.
Right.
And we also like have to have the skill sets to be able to work with people, because we can be a genius and we can be like the most talented healer or energy worker or whatever in the world, but if people don't know how to like find you and hire you and engage with you, you're just sitting there with like wasted gifts and wasted talent. And so that's why what I'm really passionate about is just helping light workers, helping people who are out there doing really good things, like just do more of it, and not in a way that like burns them out, but in a way that really gets them paid for their gifts while also having an impact.
Wow, there are so many tangents on what you
Sorry, that
said.
was a lot.
Well, the first thing I thought too is because you think of the yucky used salesman, and you hate being sold to. So for me, I just changed the word to inviting. I'm just
Yeah,
inviting. The second thing that hit me, you were saying was, I loved it about that you're solving problems. Oh, and that so many of us who are healers, one, it's hard for us. It's almost in our DNA that we want to heal for free. We want
totally.
to give ourselves away. And it took me years and years and years to overcome that in my own self. I had to change the conversation to making it an energy exchange, and that
Yeah,
the energy just happens to be called money, you know,
totally.
because I know that's a big one for healers. Um, and
It's
and
it's really a hard mindset hurdle to kind of shift, and because it goes to like usually it's like so rooted in our core beliefs and values. And yeah, I have this kind of joke where it's like the better you are at your service and like the stronger your gifts, like the harder it is to sell almost, because you're just like, well, I just want to, I just want to get it out there and I just want to do my thing. And often it feels really uncomfortable to be asking for the energetic exchange in the beginning. It doesn't have to be that way though.
no, right. And like you say, it can change over time. And so do you help? Like, tell me a little bit about how you help. I'm going to say a solopreneur that has
Yeah.
a holistic business.
Yeah. So, I usually just say I work with service providers because my approach is not really, I don't have a lot of experience with like retail sales or MLM or anything like that. So, but it's the people I really love working with the holistic providers, but I have other clients who don't necessarily fall into that category, like photographers and different people like that. And I do some one-on-one coaching with people who really want like just a high level of support to really dive into their sales systems. I also have a coaching program that's like it's half a course, a sales course, and half of it is we have biweekly sales strategy sessions. And you basically just come on, you can talk through your business structure and what you've got going on and get some tailored feedback of like, okay, here's what I think you should do. And I do that because I see there's so many different courses out there you can buy and plug into, but often you'll you'll buy one and then you'll start using it and realize this doesn't really work for me, or like I have different values, or I have a different personality than the person who's teaching it. And so I really love being able to work with people individually too, to make sure that we're tailoring things to work for them. And I'll just say I don't know if you're familiar with human design, but I'm a projector in human design. And so I really love like going deep into somebody else's, world and figuring out like how everything can be optimized and what are the systems there. And my brain works that way. So yeah, so I have Sales Accelerator is my coaching program. It's a 6-month program and with lifetime access to the course. And I can put the link in the group if, or below, if that's okay, if people want to learn more, or you can just reach out to me. Or I do some one-on-one coaching with people, although I have been doing a little less of that as my kids have been getting a little bit older. So yeah, life is busy. But that's really how I work with people. And then I do a lot of just like workshops and trainings and I just did a workshop this morning talking about sales systems and sales strategies. And then I have another workshop next week that's more mindset. And so I like to talk about all the different kind of components that come up within the sales realm.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah,
cohort. You just mentioned the word sales, and it's like the deer in the headlight.
totally. That's most people, and I think it's because like we only realize we're being sold to when we're having a negative sales experience. Like when you're having a great sales experience, you're just like, oh, I met that really helpful person and they helped me get what I want. Like there's no, you don't even register it as sales. And so I think so many of us just like, it's such a negative tie with the word sales.
It is, and it is, and there are people that need your services. You would not have had this calling if there wasn't other people who need it, and they need it from you. You know, I
Totally.
I think that's so important. That's what I love about women supporting women, because it takes all of us, it takes all our uniqueness, all our different niches, all our different approaches to be able to help each other to create this, what I love to say, this rippling effect, um,
Yeah.
going out, that we're not in competition. We don't believe in lack, and that collaboration is like the wave of the future. I mean, it's, yeah, because if you can't serve a particular person, you're like, oh, but I know who can, if you're
Yeah.
really coming from your heart space and you're really wanting to help. So, and that
I
right,
am, yeah.
go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
Mm-mm.
No, I was going to say I agree. And before I started my business, I was doing a lot of coaching for chiropractors and their teams. And one of the tools that I love to use was Gallup Strengths Finder, because I absolutely love seeing people realize what their strengths are and being able to, like, I mean, there's the whole confidence that happens when people are like, oh, here's all the things that are right with me, none of the things that are wrong with me. And it's another reason why I love using human design as a tool also, because it just helps you see like, oh, what makes me unique? And like there could be another sales coach down the road who has totally different strengths and they have a totally different approach. They're going to be right for some people who are not right for me at all. And like I think it's our job to be putting ourselves out there so that we can line up with the right people, and to be, also tending to our vibration, our energy, so that we can be aligning with the right people as well. So it's an inner process too, not just the outer process. But it's so true. It's like we all have such unique strengths and gifts, and there's more than enough to go around. And I think really when we are in alignment with those strengths and with those gifts, and we have the ability to get them out there and communicate them effectively, then like you can have that ripple effect, and you can amplify what everyone else is doing as well, right?
Exactly. And I mean, I'm a little bit familiar with human design, only from a previous interview. So it's kind of new to me. So for those folks that don't know what human design is, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's an energy typing system. That is, it kind of is, I would say it falls into the same categories or realm as like, people might think of it as astrology, it's connected to astrology, or I'm trying to think of what, Gene Keys is another one that's very similar, but it's basically looking at how you were designed, like what is the energy that you have rolling through your system, and how does that function, and um how can you work with it instead of against it, I guess. And that's why I love it as a tool. So there are different energy types, and different, they dictate different elements of your biology, but then also your personality. And I see a lot of overlap in so many other modalities and numerology, all of these different things, right? But
Right.
I have yet to find something as accurate and reliable as human design, which is why I really love using it as a tool with my clients. And when I discovered it and started using it in my own life, I was like, oh my God, so much makes sense now. Like, oh,
Right.
I feel seen. Okay, I can figure this out now.
Well, and it's working with your innate natural gifts instead of working against yourself,
Totally.
and
Yeah.
getting help in those areas that aren't your, strong suit. Um, yeah, I wasn't surprised by I think, you know, done so many different things that I think this one's called generator.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so fit. I mean, 100 times a day, I see opportunities everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's almost like it almost feels like a curse. It's like, why are you allowing me to see all these things when I'm not able to do anything about most of them, you know? But it's like,
Yeah.
so where is the calling? Well, that's like me starting this group. I mean, when I started the group, I had one thing in mind, and the next thing you know, I see this bigger vision, this bigger picture, and having hubs all over different countries in the world, and helping women become the leaders that they naturally always are and have been, and just,
Mm.
and because we make jokes within the group that I'm called the reluctant leader. I mean, I made a science out of avoiding leadership roles my whole life. But yet I had the training, I had the natural abilities, I had the skills, so, a lot of times the thing that you avoid the most maybe might be the thing that's actually your calling.
Oh my gosh, I totally agree. I totally agree. Or I always say, the portal or the key to your next level is always in the work that you're avoiding, right? It's that thing I don't want to look at over here. The thing that makes me uncomfortable, for my clients is like sales. They're like, I don't want to do that, but it's always, the thing that's gonna get you to the next level, right?
Well, even you mentioned that yourself, you went to work for a chiropractic office, and the next thing you knew, you were in sales and you're like, wait, I didn't want to do this. This is not what I
Yeah.
was signing up for.
Totally, and I think for myself, I had a long kind of pattern of wanting to be nice, like the nice girl, and like be people pleasing, and like not creating any waves or anything like that. And I think stumbling into the sales position was the first of many doorways to like my own empowerment of like, no, it's okay to be direct, and you can be direct and kind, and
Yes.
it's okay to ask for what you want, and here's how. And like learning how to sell and learning all of these skill sets really helped me realize, oh, I'm not doing this in so many areas of my own life. And I'm like so grateful that I have those skill sets now, because I think life is so different than it might have been.
It is. And I don't, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist by any kind of training or anything, but it's almost like it's cultural things that are so subliminal that we get conditioned into them, and nobody, even the people who are doing it, don't realize that they're doing it. That, I mean, I was just as guilty as you were, about not
Yeah,
wanting to
we
upset the.
left that behind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that it is okay to ask and say for what you want. And it's okay to speak up and speak your mind. But it makes me think of the Dalai Lama in 2009. I've said this before. It's going to be the Western woman that changes the world. And the first thing we all need to do is find that inner voice,
Mm-hmm.
and be true to ourselves and who we are. So I love, if anybody's interested, connect with Julie about the human design work, because it's really fascinating, to really know thyself and know what your strengths are and focus on those, and quit making
Yeah.
yourself wrong for what you're not able to do. And then sales, I can see, can become really fun because it's like offering a cookie, and some people want it and some people don't.
Totally, totally. And when you're able to offer the cookie in a way that feels good for you, and
Right.
isn't like, like as a projector in human design. But even if we just take a personality, like if I am a more direct person, my approach to sales is going to be different than somebody who's a little bit more amiable or a little shyer or a little bit more analytical. Like every personality type has a very different, they're going to have different strategies that work for them. And I think so many of us just think, oh, I have to do sales a certain way and that's all it is. And it's like, no, we can really look at what our strengths are and leverage those and operate from those places. And I think whether you use human design or Gallup Strengths Finder or Enneagram or any of those self-development tools to get to know yourself better, like they're all a wonderful place to start. You just pick the one that resonates with you the most, right? But knowing that stuff, then you actually can make decisions and use your intuition and be discerning in business, which is what you you have to be able to do that, right?
I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you because I got just really giddy about thinking about that. Yeah, that each of our personality styles have a different way of doing sales, and it's not just ABC, you know, it's A and F
Yes.
and Y, it's I love that you do that, that you take in the person, their personality, what their service is, and then help them come up with a strategy that's unique and authentic to them, because
Yes. It's
authenticity is really important.
I was reading, I saw something pop up on, it was like Facebook or Instagram a little while ago that said authenticity is the highest frequency or highest vibration. And I think it's so true. Like you really will attract the people who are meant to work with you when all the areas of your business are lined up and coming from that authentic place, not you trying to fit into somebody else's sales funnel or sales system or script or like all the things. It's like when you can actually create something from a place of like, oh, these are my values. This is how I function. And so I'm going to build my, sales funnel from there. It's like a whole different ball game. And I see people all the time. I have some clients who are like, I've never wanted to sell before, and this is actually fun now. And like, what is that? I'm like, yeah, it can be fun. Like, we can have fun doing this. It doesn't have to be this painful process of selling to people.
I love this. I'm all, I'm having flashes of, doing an event in the group to introduce the group to this process and this mindset around this, that, because we all need it. Because if we can't make money and we can't grow and we're the best kept secret, then we die on the vine. And
I
that's not what
know.
we want.
I know. And that I think that's the biggest pain I think that a lot of my clients have is just like that pain of not being able to like do the work that they want to do.
Right? Or to
They're just
get the
like, I'm
message
sitting at
out.
home with these tools and these gifts and nobody's calling me and nobody's buying. And like, it's so painful. It really is. It's like really frustrating.
Well, it really is. And then too, like you said, and it's, everybody trying to put you in their cookie cutter mold, you know, and it's, yes, that's all I'll say about that.
I'm there. I got you. Yeah, no, it's no good. It's no fun. And I worked with, like I said, I worked with chiropractors for a long time. And what I saw was a lot of practitioners trying to do things like their teacher or like their mentor and it not working for them because it was created for somebody else, right? With somebody else's personality and everything. And what I saw was they would try and implement this business practice or whatever. And then they'd be like, something is wrong with me because I can't make it successful. And so I just watch all these people just kill their own self-esteem and their own belief in themselves. And really, it's like, it's not you at all. You're just plugged into the wrong system. And so I just love seeing people come on back online and be like, oh, there's actually nothing wrong with me at all. Like, this isn't a me problem. This was the system problem or the strategy problem, or like, I just didn't have the skill set. And so when we can kind of figure out what those elements are and tweak those elements, it's like, oh, this doesn't have to be so hard.
It is. It's so beautiful. And I'm thinking about the misinformation I've given people in the past that I want to like try to go find them and say, I'm so sorry.
Oh, we all do it. We all do it too. And I did the same thing too. Like, I plugged into other people's systems and then been like, why isn't this working for me? There's something wrong with me. And I've also told people to do, I've been like giving them a strategy and then realized, oh, that wasn't right for them at all.
Oh, good.
Like,
I feel
I mean,
better.
we all do it, but I think
Right.
that's where you, as an entrepreneur, you need to know yourself so that you can be discerning because there's so much information coming in all the time, that it's hard to make those decisions if you're kind of not, if you don't know where you're point of, you know, your point of attraction is, or your, where, whatever you want to call it.
Well, there is, or if you're experiencing resistance to a certain methodology, that, pay attention to that. It doesn't make you wrong or that you might have a block or a story about it. Maybe it actually is. It's just not right for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what would you suggest to somebody who's really struggling to get started? Um, and don't, like, what are some of the first steps that someone would take? Because I know it's not just about sales.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things. So I always recommend that people start with, like I said, just that self-discovery of like figuring out, who you are, how you function, and what you want. Like those are those are the big three things that I think if you don't know what you really want, if you don't know how you function well, like even something as simple, like I function really well. Like I wake up at 6 a.m. ready to go. Like I'm a morning person. I have so much energy until 2 p.m. and then it's like game over. And, and so it's like, why would I build a business where I'm having to have client meetings at 3 p.m.? Like that wouldn't make sense for me. And so I think it's simple things like that. But then also there are deeper, more like, I want to understand how my energy functions and how it interacts with other people's energy fields. And like we can go more metaphysical with it too. But I think starting with just like knowing yourself and knowing what you want are like, you have to have that to even build a sales system or a sales foundation. Um, and then I also think a really good place for people to start if they're looking at sales is really just understanding that sales is communication. And so looking at your communication skills is a really easy place for people to start. And one of the biggest things I see in healers or people who are like an expert at what they do is they're speaking expert level language, and so people just aren't, it's just going right over their heads. And so you want to look at the communication that you're having with on social media, in the copy that you're writing, in the conversations that you're having. Like, are you speaking like a 5-year-old could understand it? I always tell my clients, like, pretend you're talking to my son. How could you say this in a way that he could understand it? And I think that's just looking at that alone. Usually people are like, oh, I'm not super clear. Or, if we're talking about women's empowerment, like, ask for what you want. And in sales, like I see a lot of people will put an offer out there, like, if you want to work together, send me a message. It's like, how clear can you be about what you're communicating? So I'm a big fan of people not just saying like, book a call or send me a DM. It's like, tell people exactly what's going to happen. Like, be as clear and concise and direct in your communication. Like, click this link, book a call. Here's what's going to happen. This is what you can expect. Like, really clearly communicating, I think, is usually the first skill set that everybody needs to look at. And then from there, we kind of look at different elements of what might be going on. I in my programs and in one-on-one, I have I call it the core four. And we look at sales strategy, systems, skills, and mindset. And you can have like a really great mindset, but you can have terrible strategy and like things aren't going to work. Or you can have great strategy and great systems, but like a terrible mindset and it's going to, you're going to sabotage. And so really having those four areas are kind of what I really like to look at with people. So people can start to identify like, where's my problem? Is it in one or all of these? Then it becomes easier to, solve those problems.
I love this conversation. This is so wonderful. Well, before we go today, and just to let everybody know, we'll be sure to put all her links above this interview so they're easy to find, and how to get in touch with her and her website and whatever programs that she is offering right now. But is there any last words you'd like to share before we go today?
No, I'm just so grateful to be here, and it's been so lovely to chat with you. And yeah, I look forward if there's anyone who would like to collaborate or have a conversation, I'm more than happy to do that.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you.